Hello, everyone. It's Sean Ellis from Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal podcast tonight, and our guest is going to be Ms. Brie Hollingshed. She'll be coming on here in a few minutes. We're waiting on her. I hope everybody had a great Father's Day weekend, and it was fun, and everybody had a good time. So, Brie and I will be talking about tonight some of the stuff that she's doing, some of the places she's been, and also what's coming up for her as well. So we're just waiting a few minutes for her to pop in here. So I hope everybody is excited here because I've been expecting her for a while and we had to reschedule due to Father's Day. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask, and we'll answer them live as well. So, like I said, we're waiting on Brie to pop up here. I see that we have 3 viewers. Please log into StreamYard and let them know you're here so we can see your names. She's getting there. She's getting close. She had to restart her computer, and it's taking a little time. Hello, Adam Ramos. Thanks for dropping in. Diane Mendez, hey, from Alabama. I hope you guys both had a great Father's Day weekend. We are currently waiting on Brie. She's restarting her computer, and she'll be popping in here pretty quick here. So, anything exciting happening in Alabama lately? What about down in Texas, Adam? Is anything exciting happening in Texas? We saw a black bear on the golf course by my home yesterday. That's kind of cool. Got a few investigations coming up. Where are you going to be going, Adam? Diane, at least you're not down in the Florida area where you see big crocodiles on the golf course. Next weekend, we will be going to. That sounds pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for September when you come down to Ohio with me and Pam and Lori and Maddie. We'll be having a team up there in September. Also, in July 20th, I'll be going back up to Broadhead Manor. And I think July 26th, I'll be doing one with Eternal Paranormal as well. All righty, here we go, guys. The one, the only Brie Hollingshed.
Hey, what is up?
Computer gremlins at their best, huh?
Man, I tell you what, like the story of my life right now, today's been a day. So
It's been a hot
I'm not
one.
surprised. I shouldn't be surprised, but
It's definitely been a hot
I didn't
one.
have a Monday. I had a Tuesday. Wait, it's
Well,
Tuesday, right? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it is Tuesday. I've got your place to find you here going across the screen. I hope they're all right here at the bottom.
Oh no, that's completely fine.
So
You got
anyway.
it. Yeah, you got it all right. It looks like so far from what I've seen.
All righty. So I did get a chance to meet you at Broadhead Manor at Spirits of the Spring.
Yes.
That was exciting. What did you think about all that going on there?
I thought it was really good. I'm not being rude. I'm actually sharing out the live right now. So, hey, Adam. Okay, I got the chat pulled up too, so I can see somewhat what's going on. I had a lot of fun. I mean, the weather on Saturday was kind of crappy, but I mean, we made the best of it, and still had a blast. Broadhead is like Disney World for the paranormal. If anybody gets the chance to go, they need to go. Bill, the owner, is absolutely phenomenal and will always go out of his way to make sure that you're well taken care of. So getting to be invited to be a speaker for Spirits in the Spring 2024 to help with raising money for the work that needs to be done at Broadhead was just an absolute honor. And being able to do that and be there for Bill, who's been a huge part of my life since I've started in the paranormal, was just, it really meant a lot to me. So
yeah, I thought it was a really good turnout.
Yeah, it did really well.
I actually popped up there unnoticed there for a little bit. Only one person knew I was coming. I let Jamie Lynn Keller know that I was coming. And then when I popped in, everybody's like, oh, Sean's here. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, so a typical question I'm sure everybody's asked you. What got you intrigued into the paranormal?
Oh, okay. So you ready for, okay, this is going to be a good conversation. Oh, hey, Tippy, how are you? Thanks for jumping on, sweetheart. Hopefully work's going okay for you. Love Tippy. She's been such a great supporter with the stuff that I do. So it's so cool getting to see her pop on. All right, let me hit post. And there we go. All right. So I actually been dealing with the paranormal since I was a small child. I saw my first full-bodied apparition at the age of 6. And my mom was extremely gifted and helped walk me through it. And then the older I got, you go through trauma, and a lot of people, there's different theories about what opens you up with your gifts or what can shut you down. And trauma is one of them, that if you go through trauma, it can either build those walls up or it can open you up more. And for me, it was self-preservation that I had to continuously go through for a huge chunk of my life. So the walls were up. And last year I actually went through, I got my marriage disillusioned. And my 2 older children sat down with me and they encouraged me to pursue my passion, which was the paranormal. I had raised them on all the OG shows, like, Paranormal State, Haunted Collector, Ghost Hunters, the show that we shall never mention, And I went to a few events, and I was actually driving down to one in North Carolina. I lived in Ohio at the time, and I stopped at a roadside rest stop and just got this feeling, heard a voice that I should, make the trip memorable and, enjoy my time driving to and from. And so I was actually right outside of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So, of course, my first stop was to go, rub the shiny hiney and see the Mothman. And then from there, I went to Sweet Springs because that was when Project Fair was dropping their sleeping arrangements for when they were at Sweet Springs. And then went on to North Carolina to the event. And then on the way back, thanks to my friends at Spooky Appalachia, they pointed me towards St. Albans and Trans Allegheny. Granted, I didn't get to go into those locations, but I finally got to see them and take pictures of them. And I posted everything across Twitter, and everybody just absolutely loved it. So, people were asking me if I was going to keep going. And so I kept going, and I went really hard every weekend until I think this year is when, what I do has been changing a lot in different aspects, especially now that I'm with Nick, and, we've been together since October, and being a part of his team, Old World Paranormal Society, doing my show Remotely Paranormal. And then, Nick and I, we have a lot of projects in the works too. And, people call us Team Brick. So it's interesting seeing how my journey has been morphing and changing. And actually, I'll officially be active in the paranormal with my road trips in July.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully the lagging will calm down. It seems to be working fine on my side so far. So hopefully the lagging will go away. When you were growing up, did you ever tell anybody about your abilities?
My mom knew about them. My mom knew that I could see things, hear things. I mean, I'm thankfully a good friend of mine has helped me figure out, what my abilities are. And would be classified as a psychic medium, but I've got the whole physical thing going on. So all the senses they like to, use to get my attention and, try to get me to interact with them or just annoy the hell out of me. I don't know, one of the two, but but yeah, my mom, she helped me through it all. My mom saw things, and she heard things. We grew up in a home that had a lot of paranormal activity, ranging from poltergeists to shadow people, disembodied voices, orbs. And I'm not a big orb person, but we would literally watch balls of light travel through the house like somebody was walking through, and they would be different colors. We had one that was green. One time there was a blue, there was orange. And a lot of people have asked me, are you sure it wasn't somebody with a flashlight playing a joke on you?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, the way that these were moving, and there's no way that you could have consecutively gotten a flashlight to go, from room to room the way it was. The light wouldn't have been able to been able to still reflect if it was a flashlight. So, oh, and there's Nick. Hey, babe.
Yeah. So when you first got touched, or you could feel a spirit, since you've got that ability, what crossed your mind?
The first time I got touched, I mean, it can get annoying. I mean, the first time I got touched, though, I was just like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, it made me giggle. I mean, there's times where Nick can tell you I, still giggle. And I love you. He's so good to me. So for those watching, that's Nick. So I still giggle. It's still, you gotta make sure you keep the joy in what you're doing. And I know I probably annoy Nick and other people around me because it's each time it's new. I'm still I act like a kid with it. I mean, I still giggle, I still get excited, I still I mean, I guess I'm the Aaron of GAC. I don't know. But I mean, I don't freak out like he does. I spend the night consecutively in haunted locations that most grown men wouldn't go by themselves at. No offense, Sean. But
I know.
for the
Trust me,
any man
I
out there
know.
watching, no offense, but I mean that's what I do with remotely paranormal, and that's what I just did volunteering at Wildwood. So I don't really freak out. I mean, not saying I haven't been scared or terrified. I absolutely have been terrified. On my journey, even growing up, there were times where, I've been terrified, but like I giggle. I mean, I get annoyed at times too. For those, because a lot of what we do live. So there's a lot of times where I will announce, like, okay, I'm being touched here, I'm being touched there, especially being a medium, it's so people know what's going on. Like, even if the lights aren't flashing and people aren't seeing, the REM pod go ape shit. And I'm sorry, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I'm like, crap. Because of the technical difficulties, everyone, we didn't get a chance to go over the rules of the game. So I don't know if cussing is allowed.
I could always put the other banner up, but no, you're fine.
I don't have you should have heard me when I did my speech at Broadhead.
I did. No, I didn't get to see it because I left the day before. I was only
there. But at one point I was like, I dropped a cuss word and I had to do a public service announcement. I was like, okay, for those who have children, if you don't like foul language, now is your time to either put their earmuffs on or kindly escort them from the room, because I don't have a filter and fuck is my favorite word. So yeah, good times,
For me, when I've felt a spirit touch me before, they've like actually felt my hand, so I know what the feeling's like. Have you ever had one actually take your hand and guide you somewhere? Because I have had that happen to me before.
Yeah, I've had my Broadhead. I had the kids at Broadhead take both my hands, and they were like guiding me. It was actually my first time there. Bill was giving me a tour. He actually let me highlight Broadhead in August of last year. So I highlighted Broadhead before I ever got a chance to actually investigate. And yeah, the kids were like, they took my hands, and it was funny because it was like I could feel all these the little hands, little hands,
Right.
from, I mean, they felt like toddler size all the way up to like even an 8-year-old, like my daughter who's 8, and on up to like preteen size. And I'm feeling these hands all over me and grabbing my hands and guiding us through. And that was really exciting. I mean, I felt that when I was younger. Younger spirits, that would come and play. Actually, I was 6. So a lot started happening when I was 6. So not only did I see my first full-bodied apparition when I was 6, but I also had playmates in the closet, and they were 2 little boys that I played with. And then my mom ended up having twin boys, and after she gave birth, my playmates disappeared. So would that have been the souls of my brothers that I was playing with? I don't know. But it makes you, little things like that make you wonder,
Well, it's an intriguing question. I mean, could they have been there prior, letting you know they're coming? I mean, it's a possibility.
I mean, I fully believe that spirits know before we're getting there. They know. I mean, now, does that mean that they're like God with all the omnis? If you do believe in a higher power of God, God's omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent, so he knows all, sees all, and basically is all. He's everywhere. Are spirits able to do that? I don't know, but I find it interesting, as a medium, that I do a lot of my readings on StreamYard, and for my private sessions. And I've got people that I've done readings for up in, the Illinois, Wisconsin border, all the way out to Colorado. And I've had their spirits, talk to me. So it's interesting, the thoughts and the possibilities. I mean, there's so many different aspects that I don't even think we're ever going to fully understand, but I find it all fascinating.
Very true. I actually had the opportunity to see a full apparition actually here in my house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A year ago last March, my girlfriend passed away. And after a few days after the funeral, I seen her apparition standing here in my dining room in pitch black. And it looked like kind of a greenish mist because of the router from the computer was kind of jetting out a little bit. So I could actually see a figure sitting there, but there was no other lights on, but I could see a figure there. And one of the things I said, you have more power than you ever imagined. And she goes like this, she just nods her head. And then I said, you come back to check on me? And she goes, yep. And I said, you'll be around for a long time. And she goes, yep. And then she left. And then a few days later, I actually woke up at 3:00 in the morning. My dog woke me up and I kept hearing this words in my head. And she gave me a lot of things that she wanted me to do and take care of. So I understand, when you can see that. And I actually got verification, they do know things.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry to hear of your loss, but that's amazing that you still have that connection, that she's still coming back to check on you and speak with you. That's amazing.
There's even times I'm riding in the car, if a certain song comes on that she liked, I can actually see like waves of energy sitting in the passenger seat in the car. When you're driving a car and somebody rocks it or jumping around a little bit, like she's kind of dancing the car will shift.
Just like she's in there bebopping along.
Like she's bebopping along.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yes, I've had that happen to me. So I've had that experience and I know what that's like. So it's, trying to explain that to some people, until they have that happen to them, they'll never truly understand. But yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was going to say, because I'm actually classified as an empath and a clairvoyant in a lot of different levels. So.
Oh, wow.
So I can even play with energy, like energy balls. Yeah, people can stand like 10, 15 feet away and they can feel me touching the back of their neck.
Oh, that's amazing.
So,
wow. I haven't done anything like that yet. And I don't, how do I word this? Now, you classify yourself as an empath. So I'm just curious, for you, what does empath mean for you?
It means I can feel people's emotions and everything around. If I walk in a room, I can tell if it's bad energy or good energy as well.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've
for me, personally, I kind of feel like as human beings, we're supposed to be empathic. We're supposed to have empathy for others. We're supposed to be able to feel that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to people that have that type of a gifting like you do, when you can tell energy's off, good, bad, you really can feel the emotions in the room, to the point where it almost feels like you're wearing those emotions yourself. I like to call people that are able to do that sensitives, because I think that you've got empath is such a word that I've noticed I get so annoyed and maybe you do too, because you have these giftings. But there's so many people out there that want to be like, oh, I'm an empath, like I can do this, and and then those people, what they're describing, it's like, well, that's what we're supposed to do as humans anyways. Like,
exactly. You're true.
so
You're exactly. You're 100% correct.
Yeah, so it's like I don't try to be like in no way am I trying to be disrespectful to anybody that's got like your gifting or anything like that. It's just that I like to set you guys, people who truly have that gift. I want to set you guys apart, because I think empath is a word that just gets tossed around so much, and it's something that empathy is an emotion that we're supposed to have as humans anyways. I mean, unless you're like a natural born serial killer, like I mean, you got the dead eyes. I mean, I don't know, but
true.
So
but I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody on this earth is capable of doing things like that. Is if they set their mind to it, do the things they're supposed to, and they will discover they can do a lot of things that we were supposed to be able to do all along. So yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%. So
I'm still sharing stuff out, don't mind me. So I'm not being disrespectful or anything. I swear, like I'm actually like sharing it to like chats I'm in on Messenger right now.
It's all good.
This is typically what I do when I'm like modding for Nick and Sean on Mondays. Like, even though like Sean wasn't on last night and like I filled in for Sean, like I was still like sharing it out, like to like all the chats and looking down. I know a lot of people are like, what are you doing? Right. Liz, what is up, girl? Love you.
But yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I've even got people on my team that's like me too, and I've been training them. When I was on my old team, I had a mentor that was a Reiki master, and I learned a lot from her. So I have learned quite a bit of cool things from her.
That's awesome.
And I've also been taking shaman classes for almost a year now.
Oh, wow.
So I've been learning a lot of cool stuff. So
it's my sweet potato fries.
So how did Remotely Paranormal come about? I mean, were you go in on your own by yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got a task to do. Who come up with an idea like that?
Okay, so have you ever heard of like Hulu's TV show Monster Inside?
I have heard of it. I haven't seen it, but yeah, I've
heard of it. So the main narrator through the whole thing, who for a while was so if you've never seen Monster Inside is actually based on the extreme haunt McCamey Manor, created by Russ McCamey. He's actually bounced this location across different states due to the high intensity. It's been chased out of towns. And when Chris was a part of it, Chris did not know. We've had a lot of private conversations. He didn't know the full extent of everything that was going on. And when he found out the full extent of what was going on, Russ walked him through McCamey Manor and the extreme haunt. And you will see on Monster Inside where Russ just about buries Chris Smith alive. So Chris had seen me going on all my weekend trips, was following me, and I was actually on my very first long road trip that was 2 weeks. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, I would love to work with you. Totally vetted himself, gave me all his information. I was able to do all kinds of like, cross-referencing and even, get personal references for him. and check him out and see what he was about. And he was like, you're doing the paranormal. I do a little bit of paranormal stuff myself, but I'm mainly, with like the haunts, like the Halloween type haunts. And he was like, I would think it'd be really fun if we could like cross the genres, like do like horror with paranormal. And I was like, I'm all for this, because whether the horror field realizes it or not, like there's a lot of paranormal shit that's going on that's tying you guys into what we're doing, like real life. Mm-hmm. So I actually went, I think it was like the second weekend of October. I went up to Michigan, and Chris took me to 2 different Halloween haunts. And the very first one he took me to was actually Eloise Asylum. And what was really cool is that since he got the VIP tickets for us, we had access to the basement walkthrough of the haunt. And the basement is actually not accessible for investigating the rest of the year because they keep it set up for the Halloween haunt. So I actually got the chance to like walk through, and it was really interesting because the whole haunt aspect of it, and then it's also a paranormally known hotspot location for investigating. And I can tell you this much, like as a psychic medium, like walking through, like it gives you all the feels. Like it's insane. And there were a couple times where it really broke my heart because they've got a few displays set up for how do I say this? Cannibalism. And cannibalism is actually something that happened during Eloise's asylum historical time period. Mm-hmm. I don't know all the correct dates and information, so I'm not going to lay that out, but I do remember that from the talk that when Chris gave me a brief backstory on Eloise. So that was really disturbing. And a lot of the spirits there were actually kind of pissed about it. They felt like it was getting thrown back in their, like something that had to be done for survival was being used as a way of like entertainment now. And they were really upset over it. And same when I was going through the basement. And then we went to another place called Hush, and Hush was like a freaking magic carpet ride. And they actually had a bar set up, and he got VIP tickets for that. So each, like we started off at the bar, and then we had a drink, and then we got to walk through, and there's like 3 other like bars throughout. And if you're wearing like a certain badge, like we had, somebody steps out of the shadows and like escorts you into this bar, and the bar has a theme to it, and they've got a themed drink that's included with your VIP, and then it flows into the next area that you're going into. So it was really interesting. And thank God they weren't extreme haunts, because I'm not all about that. I actually thought I was going to scream and cry like a little girl, not going to lie. But we had a lot of fun. And so I went from that 2-week trip, or I went from that, and then immediately that was on a Sunday. And on that Friday, I left Fort Wayne and went to Hinsdale to start my 3-week trip out on the East Coast. And while I was driving out there, Brooke Pretzel, her and I had become really good friends. And so I reached out to her, and we came up with an ingenious idea, because Chris and I had already set up a collaboration for like the paranormal side, but it wasn't going to happen till like the end of November. Right. And I'm like, I really want to piggyback on the whole Halloween haunt thing, because we weren't able to do a lot of videotaping, because you can't take pictures or videos when you're in these haunts. We could only do like videos and pictures like before and after each one. So I wanted to do something that would be like a real big like shock and awe factor. So I talked to Brooke, and then Chris was all for it. And this actually ended up being the, unbeknownst to us at the time, was the birth of Remotely Paranormal. So my idea was I needed something. I was starting my road trip off on something massive, going to Hinsdale, 3 days, 2 nights. And I wanted to end the trip on something massive and, go big or go home type
Mhm.
deal. So the plan was, why don't Chris and I do a collaboration? Even though he can't physically be there, we could still somehow do this live streaming type deal where he's involved. And, I be at Wildwood, and then I end up spending the night by myself at Wildwood. And Brooke was all for it. Um, Chris was all for it, because I really wanted to help promote Wildwood too. We'd actually met at MadCon at the end of September and had talked about me coming and highlighting Wildwood anyway. So that's what we ended up doing. So what's funny though is a lot of people didn't catch on to it, is if you actually looked at the poster that Chris dropped for Remotely Paranormal, you'll see like I'm actually standing, like I'm superimposed in front of Wildwood, and I'm doing my whole like picture from Union Cemetery. And like there's Wildwood behind me, and then you see like two older gentlemen's faces, like these old photograph, like faded out faces, and then there's Chris above hovering over Wildwood. And I thought it was kind of funny because it was like a hidden Easter egg, and I didn't even catch it right away myself either. But if you really paid attention to it, Chris is wearing a headset with a mic. If Chris is there in person with me, why would he need a headset with a mic?
Right.
So nobody knew except for like Nick. Of course, Nick knew because I had to run it by him to make sure he was okay, because security issues and, make sure security was set up. So, Nick knew, Chris knew, Brooke and her husband and her mom, Lori, knew. And we started, and he's sitting in an office at his house in Michigan. And nobody knew. It was like this big shock and awe, like, oh my God. And so we did it, and people ate it up and loved it. And then we met for our third collab at Madison Seminary, where we actually investigated together. And we actually almost got snowed into Madison Seminary. A massive snowstorm blew in off Lake Erie. And we ended up having to leave Madison, I think, between 1 and 2 in the morning, if I remember correctly, because of how bad the snow was. Like, I ended up driving back to the hotel, and I could barely see. Like, you couldn't see the road. You didn't know where the lanes were. It was literally a wing and a prayer, and it was like ice underneath the snow. It was pretty sketchy drive home. And then driving back the next day, like there was a break in the snow. And I'll tell you, it was like the Indy 500 going through Cleveland, because every bit of freaking interstate is clean. And then you hit Cleveland and like nothing's freaking clean. There's cars piling up around you. So here I am in my little like 2018 Nissan Versa, like literally leapfrogging through traffic, like barely missing all these accidents that are piling up around me. Like, yeah, it felt like if I was a NASCAR driver at Bristol, that was my Bristol that day. But we were talking when we were at Madison, and even when we got done and I got back, like I was really mulling over the idea of how much people loved the whole remote aspect, somebody being separate, and then you're in there, you're by yourself. At most you might have a location owner or a security guard with you,
Right.
whether they're inside or outside, but you're literally doing everything by yourself. You are remote. And I, suggested to him, like, hey, what if we were to keep that going? And, Remotely Paranormal, it's like my baby. And we kicked off Remotely Paranormal December 12th of 2023 at the mysterious Monroe House. And I did 2.5 hours, 5 rooms, 5 challenges. My last challenge was in the crawl space where Nick Groff and Eddie found the bones in the basement on Paranormal Lockdown. And they do have all that walled off now. Like it's all boarded up, but you can still get in the
Is that the one that
space.
had the little hallway you walk down a little ways, and then it was like on the side there a little bit? like a little pocket.
Like you go down to the basement and then like the hole in the wall that you see them crawl through, like on Paranormal Lockdown, that hole's still there. And you crawl into it and you can go in a little bit and then but it's walled off and it's kind of like in a backwards L shape. And if you go down like the long stretch of it, there's actually a window in the wall like where you can look through to see like where the bones were found under the house. And so yeah, I did the 2.5 hours there and then I spent the night. And I am thoroughly convinced that the spirits there typically give people a hard time with sleeping. At least they didn't let me sleep. I actually got rushed out of a room. It didn't scare me, but I was like, all right, I'll give you your space. Like, you don't have to come at me like that. You know? Like, look, I'll respect you, but respect me. Okay, let's play nice. And then in January, we did our first big event with 3 nights consecutively, 3 locations. I started off at Hinsdale, went to Paraniagara Western Block, which that place is an absolute hidden gem. If you watch Death Walker, it's actually on season 3 and season 4 with Nick and Tessa. And then I went back to Wildwood. I wanted to pay homage to Wildwood. And actually, I just did almost a full week at Wildwood by myself, Monday through Friday, not last week, but the week prior. And we brought Remotely Paranormal back again to pay homage and see what the difference would be, because I'd been there during the cold weather. Would there be a difference during warm weather? You know, like, and plus on top of that, like, I was there helping with like restorations and renovations, organization, different things of that sort. So it really put to test the theory of when you start working on a building, whether it be rearranging furniture, making improvements, working on stuff, does it cause the activity to stir? Do you get more? Is it hostile? Is it friendly? Or does it just not happen? And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, activity will happen. And if you, at least at Wildwood, if you don't talk them through what you're doing and what's going on and let them know that hey, I'm here, I'm helping the owners, you know, I'm doing this with love. I'm not doing this out of any disrespect. You know, everything's going to be put back away. I'm not leaving this messed up. You know, they will respect it. There was one day out of the 4, I was there for 5 because I got there Monday, left early afternoon on Friday around 3-ish, close to 4. And Thursday was the one day that I didn't really say much about what was going on. We were just kind of like rushing through a few things because some storms were coming through, and Zach, Brooke's husband, had just enough time to come over and help me with moving some stuff around. And we had a pretty big list of stuff that we needed to work on. We just jumped right into work, and both of us actually forgot to say something, and the spirits weren't happy with me that night at all. Like, I actually went up to the 2nd floor. I was going to start working on the doll room, and they literally, how do I say this? They made their presence very much known, and they made it very much known that they weren't happy. I was watching, I was TikTok live while I was doing it, and a doll on an antique rocking horse that Brooke's mom, Lori, had just purchased and brought into the home like the weekend before, I believe, had a doll that is actually like, what is that, crochet, where it's with the yarn, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And it's this big, almost life-size, like a 2-year-old crocheted doll. There's matching. There's one on another rocking horse and one on this big one. And we're watching on the, like, I can see it with my bare eyes, and I can also see it on my phone screen. The doll starts kicking its leg on the big rocking horse, and then its head starts to like pick up and like turn. It's a floppy doll, y'all. This doll ain't supposed to move. Then the doorknob on a door, because there's a doorway that goes to a front stairwell that goes down to another front door and goes up to the third floor. And during the summer months, they keep that door open. During the winter, they keep it shut because of how the heating is in the home and the heating and the cooling. And the door is wide open, and we're watching the doorknob like twist. And this solid black shadow figure is like peeking out from like behind the door. I actually was putting down our 36-foot tripwire that we have, and I got like maybe 2-3 feet away from that door, and I heard a cough. Well, for those who don't know the history of Wildwood was actually it was 2 doctors' offices, and then the state came in during the tuberculosis outbreak, and basically a pandemic. It just wasn't, released as a pandemic. And they were forced by the state to be a TB facility. So hearing coughing there is not a big deal. Hearing somebody clear their throat, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear both of those a lot. But this sounded human, and it sounded pissed, like really, really upset. And a shadow ended up charging at me, and I was like, all right. Like, I dropped I dropped the tripwire. I walked back to my camera, and I was standing there, and I was really debating on like what to do, because the room I was standing in was it's a red painted room, and it used to have like a sewing machine and just a couple chairs in it with a doll. And at one point, like, they referred to it as the tarp room, because the house, when it was purchased, like part of the roof had caved in, and they had a tarp up on the ceiling from where the roof had caved in there until they could get it like fixed. And we were in the process of converting that over into a library, but I still had all these books and these bookshelves that I had to move around, and books to put on, like organized to put on the shelves. And because there was a method to my madness of each bookshelf, I wanted to have like a certain theme, like kids books on one, antique books on another, like the mystical, astrophysical, like paranormal, whatever, all on another. And I'm standing there, and that's like when all the activity started getting like kind of crazy. And we were just like people in the chat were like, you need to go. And I was like, yeah. And right when like I started grabbing, like I started like pulling, like I was fishing my 36-foot tripwire back up. Like I'm like in there, like spooling it up. I'm like, I ain't even walking back in there because I want to be respectful, and I'm trying to tell the spirits I'm being respectful. And yeah, like I will say from my experience there, you do renovations, you rearrange, you're definitely going to get activity, especially if you don't at least communicate. At least at Wildwood, if you communicate, they're cool with it, but I would imagine it would be that same thing at different locations. I would actually like to try that at other locations and see what type of activity comes from it. Like talking them through it, and then like one night and maybe the other night not saying anything, and just all for science. You don't know unless you try. And that's what we're supposed to be doing as investigators. We're supposed to be thinking outside of that box. And people throw these theories and these hypotheses at us all the time, and we take it as the golden rule. Why aren't we trying to push and see, like, okay, well, let's walk this out and see, does this really happen? Okay, I tried it this way. Why don't I now take this idea and I take it out of the box? I throw the box in the recycling bin, and I see what I can do with this. Can we elaborate on this a little bit? Can we see, not that I'm trying to be disrespectful to a location or a location owner or the spirits that are within, but what happens? Like, let's really start thinking outside of the box on this. Like, let's stop taking what people are handing to us and going, okay, this is the end all and be all. There must not be anything else. I mean, there's so much more out there. Let's start using our God-given brains, and let's start running with stuff. Let's start thinking about stuff.
I definitely agree. Adam here asks, Brie, what is the furthest you have traveled for an investigation?
The furthest. Okay. Let me think. To date. Okay, when I lived in Ohio, I drove to Wilmington, North Carolina. And that I actually did that twice. I did it for one of my very first events, and then I did it for a show that I actually filmed. I'm on 2 episodes for the show Anomaly. And we did it was all based mainly on the East Coast, but the 2 episodes that I filmed were actually in Wilmington. So that was like a 14-hour drive. Trying to think. Since then, let's see, I've driven from Fort Wayne to Hinsdale, but that's like a 6-hour drive. Same, it's like a half hour, 45 minutes past Wildwood, so that's not too far. Broadhead's about a 6-hour drive. We've been to Kentucky, but that's about 4 to 5.
So 14 is about the limit so far.
Yeah, I would say Wilmington, North Carolina is the farthest I've been for an investigation. So distance ain't a thing. Derek's in the house. What is up?
Yep. Derek McFadden from Eternal Paranormal is in the house. We have Shadow Seekers Paranormal in the house.
Hey, Shadow Seekers.
We have Derek again, Wound Up Paranormal Preacher.
Well, see, you missed my speech on Sunday, and so I ended up with the nickname Paranormal Preacher because I kind of went off the chain. I told you. Okay, I do see that Derek wants me to do my thing. All right. You want me to do my thing? Okay. Do you want me to do my thing? I'll do my thing.
Go for it. All right.
I feel weird because I'm sitting down. I feel like I need to bring everything up, but I can't because I'm always like animated. Like I've got it like right here. So, all right. What's up, my boos, my loves, my friends, my family? I am on tonight with External X Wolfpack Paranormal talking to Sean Ellis. And you know what? We are getting it real. We are spitting truth. And you guys are getting to learn just a little bit about some of my background in the paranormal. So hang on tight. Make sure you got your comfy clothes, your good snacks. And you know what? Cheers, baby.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
It's different for each thing that I do, but I always start up with what's up, my boos, my loves, my friends, my family. I forgot to do that at my speech. So yeah. Thank you, Derek.
Loving it. Nailed it. Yes, she did. She nailed it right on the spot.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, you missed it on Saturday at Broadhead. Like I threw down on basically getting rid of the bullshit in the community. Like, let's stop the bullying. Let's start being respectful. Let's start showing love, taking people under our wings, raising the positive energy, raising the vibe. One thing that I started doing, because in January when I did the 3 events with Remotely Paranormal, I actually drove out to Pennsylvania on Monday. On Tuesday, I went to White Hill at Mansion and investigated. Wednesday, I went to Clifton 5 Theater in Huntington, Pennsylvania. Thursday, I was off. Friday was Hinsdale. Saturday was Paraniagara Western Block. Sunday was Wildwood. Monday, I was back at Hinsdale for a collab with 2 other people. Tuesday, I was back at Wildwood for a collab with 2 other people. Wednesday, I was there and had a photo shoot and also did an investigation with the owner, Brooke. And then I came home on Thursday. So while I got done with Remotely Paranormal, I'm back at Hinsdale. And like Nick can even tell you, like I'm sitting there and I got a look of like 0 fucks left to give. Like I'm at the point where like I felt like the Ben Affleck meme, like where you see him standing outside with a cigarette, just like with the ghosts, like spirits. Like how many times are we asking the same damn question? Like, let's start thinking outside of the box. Let's start, let's take the box, let's throw it in the recycling bin. Like, let's start doing things that we typically don't do. Yes, I am a dork babe. Thank you. So, like, one thing I did is I got up, I was running live on TikTok, and I looked at my chat, and somebody had popped off with a song lyric. And that got me to thinking. I've got a spare phone that I use, and I'm like, okay, I'm on my main phone. I've got my spare phone with my Spotify account on it. So I look at the other person I'm with. I'm like, do you got a Bluetooth speaker? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, can I use it? So they run downstairs, I grab their Bluetooth, and I hook it up, and I bust out with a Cupid shuffle. And I've actually got video clips on my TikTok account of where I've got a mag light going off as I'm shaking my ass, doing my turn. So, but what's interesting is that you see me doing the right and then going left. And then as I'm turning, like, you can see the distance between me and this chair. You can see that I'm dancing, and the mag light on the chair is not being affected. It's not rolling around. It's not turning on and off. But as soon as I start shaking my butt and doing my turn, that's when the light goes off. And it's like I had a light bulb moment, and I'm like, huh. So I kept the music going. At one point, I go to pick up my spare phone, and I'm literally like, I have my hand like this. I'm not touching the screen. I picked my phone up because the song that came on, Pumped Up Kicks, I was like, I really don't know if somebody will report me for this song on TikTok. I should probably change it. I pick up the phone to change it, and the spirits actually changed the song. I didn't even touch the screen. You see my screen light up, and Red Hot Chili Peppers' Give It Away Now comes on. The necrophonic box is on. Necrophonic starts literally singing along to the song. And the fan tune in Laura's room is going off. The mag lights are taking turns going on and off. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I start talking to like Nick about it. And it's all about like raising the vibration, the positive vibration where you're at, like, if you go into an area, how many times do we tell people if you go in with the negative attitude, you are going to get the negative, or you're not going to get anything.
Right.
Well, why aren't we applying this to the paranormal community? Why are we only applying this when we go to locations? Why are we not raising the positive vibration across the damn field? Like, let's get rid of the drama. I don't care what your dirty laundry is, and nobody needs to be hearing about who you don't like so everybody can come to your defense. Exactly. Unless you're reporting somebody for a sexual assault, a rape, threatening, child porn or something of that sort, we don't need to know it. Exactly. It's none of our business. Like, keep it behind closed doors. We're not in high school. I'm going to be 44 years old in September. I'd like to act like I'm 44. I would like to stop acting like I'm having to play referee or looking over my shoulder. Because I'll be honest, I've been bullied since the end of September when I fully started doing paranormal tripping with Brie. I've been threatened. I've been having to look over my shoulder. That's not something that we should have going on in our community.
I agree. I agree 100%. I mean, I've come across situations as well. And I just don't understand why, like you said, we can't all get along, share information. Because if we were sharing information, I mean, you may have come across something similar as I did. We can discuss things, okay? See what your thoughts are, my thoughts, and kind of collaborate, see what we come up with. And some people hold back information. They won't share information, or they start, like you said, they'll do this bullying stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not into it so far. I'm staying away from it. I don't want my team to have nothing to do with it. And, everybody I've met in this field, I've stayed friends with, and I get along with everybody great. I love that. I mean, I've got friends overseas, that I talk to on occasion. I've got, I ran into you when we were at Broadhead Manor.
Yeah.
Jamie Lynn Keller, Paranormal Exposure. what is it? Where's their name here? Haunted Happy Hour. I met them a while back, and I actually got to see them at Broadhead, and they're going to be on the show.
Oh, awesome. I love those girls.
So, I mean, it's great. I mean, I love sitting and talking with people about stuff and my experiences and what they've experienced. It's great, and I even like teaming up with the people if I get a chance to. I'll go,
Oh, yeah. I mean, collaborating is part of the fun part of our field, and yeah, I'm preaching. So, oh, you're fine. That's one of my BFFs. That's my girl right there. So,
we've got her hiding here for the last hour.
And a Southern Fried. There's how you doing? So, I mean, I look at it this way. We all should be doing the same thing. As long as we're not faking evidence and we're not hurting anybody, we're not causing harm or destruction to a location. It is a full-time job. Sorry, Lynn.
You're welcome, Derek.
Yes, he is a great guy, Derek. And it's like we should all be able to collaborate. We're all doing the same thing. Are we all going to do it differently? This is another point I brought up. Yeah, we're all going to do it different. That's what makes this unique. Like you are not going to find two of the same mediums.
Right.
You're not going to find two of the same intuitives, two of the same psychic mediums, because you know what spirit wants to reveal to me might not want to reveal to you, but what spirit wants to reveal to the psychic medium next to me, exactly. They might see me and be like, hi, how are you? But they're not, they're going to be like, hi, guess what? It's not for you. And I've got to be okay with that. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that, if you're not giving the same message that somebody across the room is, then, well, who's a fake? Well, neither of us are fake. It's just, you got to understand, spirit's going to find the person that resonates best with them. Exactly. And you're going to have your spirits that are freaking Gabby like me, and they're going to talk to every damn person. Because guess what? I'm probably going to bug every damn person, so like.
I mean, I'm sure you've been in a room where, nothing was active, and then you walk away from the room and somebody's just chattering.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I've walked into a room and I've had spirits acknowledge me. They will, even on necrophonic, I don't use my real first name. Brie is my nickname. And I will have my real full first name come through, and my first name is a mouthful. Right. I can barely say full first name without stuttering. But
so what do you think when your full name comes over? Because I've had that happen to me on investigations as well. They'll just blurt out your names like, "Hello, Sean," or whatever, and it's like, whoa.
I mean, I'll say my full first name. I mean, I don't have an issue with saying it. When I'm on location, though, I won't. Right. If somebody, like, I sign all my paperwork when I'm doing waivers, it's all Brie. Mm-hmm. Or if they want me to use my full legal first name, I will do it ahead of time. Because I want nothing to give. I don't want the spirits to have anything for reference. I don't want anybody slipping. I want it to be blank slate, Exactly. My full first name's a mouthful. It's actually Gabrielle or Gabrielle, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna care. I know one's female, one's male, but you get to be almost 44 and you really don't give a flying F how it's pronounced, like, I don't care. Okay. I grew up being called stinky cheese by really mean boys. So, I really don't care how you pronounce Gabrielle at this point. I've had my middle name too, and my middle name is very like, so my middle name, when my middle name gets called, I know like shit's really getting real.
Right.
I've had my full first name and my middle name. I've even had my last name. One of the very first events that I ever went to before I started actually doing my paranormal trip in last year, I was actually at OBI there in Baraboo, Wisconsin. And it was an event that had Aaron G. Thompson, Nick Simons, and Dave Schrader was supposed to be there. Mike Ming was there. That's where I met Jamie Lynn Keller. That's where I got to meet a lot of amazing people in the Wisconsin Paranormal actually at that event. And I was in the back bar room where the pool table is. And Aaron was running the necrophonic. I actually have video of it where you can hear Gabriel. It's the same voice on 3 different sweeps on the necrophonic come through. And then he starts spelling my last name. The voice coming through goes HOLL. I think it gets to like I or N, and then it stops and a little kid's voice pops in. So, when you get your name like that, I fully believe spirit has a message for you. I believe that they're trying to validate the message that either just came through or is about to come through, or they're trying to validate activity that has or is going to happen. Past, present, future, for while you're at the location. I fully believe that that's a form of validation. And when I get Gabriel Chanel, I know that like shit's getting real. I'm like, okay, I need to be paying attention. What's going on? Sometimes it'll make me nervous depending on what the activity is, the location that we're at. I have a spirit that actually follows me. And one way that he will let me know that he's there is he'll bust out with my full name. And you can tell when we're using necrophonic, he uses the same voice every time. It's the same voice.
Right.
And the same voice will come through on SB7, S-Box. He's a nasty little shit. What's funny though is that when he comes through, Nick, when he hears him, he'll be like, "Oh, douchebag." Well, what's funny is that now when this little spirit comes through, like he'll actually address Nick now as, "Hey, douchebag." So yeah. On necrophonic. That is not a word that is programmed into necrophonic, by the way.
Well, when I was on my previous team, we had a younger kid on the team, and younger female spirits would actually come over the box and hit on him. And then we always laughed at him. We thought it was funny. So that was kind of cool too.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So here's a funny story for you guys. Yeah, they do always want to talk to Philip. We've investigated with, so that's Amber Crank. Her and her husband, Philip, they actually have the team Illuminate the Beyond. And Nick and I have had a chance to actually go and collaborate with them at the Broadwell Funeral Home along with the Grimm guys. Mm-hmm. This past February, actually. It was for Philip's birthday that we went. So, yeah, they love to talk to Philip. They want to talk to Philip. It's quite interesting. But like, so funny story. Nick and I found at a location that we've got a past life together, that we don't just have this past life connection, that we've been married before. Now what makes it real? Okay. So this is the thing. I am never going to hear the end of this. I'm going to be 80 and he's going to be cracking this. So Nick was an officer in the Confederate Army, and I was a high-end prostitute, and he saved my life, and I fell in love with him, and it was mutual, and we got married within like 2 months. So yeah. The funny story is, like, if you take me into a brothel, I'm basically your living, breathing trigger object. Like, you are bound to have some sort of activity. And yeah, it's interesting.
Since
So
you brought up the past life things, I've been through my Akashic records and found some of my past lives as well. What's some of the other ones you've come up with?
so I know that one with him, and that one is the only one that I have full information on. I know that we've been told that we've actually been married 4 times. So Nick and I actually have. Now what's funny is that right before Nick and I found out that we've been married for 4 lifetimes. Nick actually, like that Friday, right before, like we were just joking around about our past life together and sharing it with somebody. And Nick was like, fuck my eternal life is my new line. And, just haha, joking about it. And then that Saturday, we found out that, we've actually been married like 4 different lifetimes. We've been together. Like, this is going to be our life. Like, we're just going to consistently find each other. The only one that I have the information for so far is the very last one. And that was in 1864. Is right around that time period is when he ended up saving me. So yeah, help me. Suck it up and deal with it. You're stuck with my ass. I told you that when we met. I just didn't realize how stuck you really are with my ass. So just learn to enjoy it. All right. I got to deal with your fucking farts. I mean, come on. If you've watched us live, people know. Oh, the haunted doll. We've actually got more than a haunted doll in here. We've got quite a few. So yes, that is Annabelle. That's the name of the doll. I bought her when my boys' dad was stationed in Germany. And I want to say she got her haunting when I lived in a farmhouse in Ohio because all the animals started going apeshit. Like the huskies actually tried to yank the doll out of my arms to destroy this porcelain doll. So
Wow.
she's a limited edition numbered doll. I fell in love with her and I just felt like I had to have her. And I went and got all my babysitting money because that's what I did. Was I was a stay-at-home care provider for children on base, and I went and bought me a doll. We also have, oh, okay, if I go this way, you can see it. So then we've got our Victorian teacher that we just obtained from when we were at OSR. Next to her, we've got the nun, and the nun's got 2 people attached. She's got a male and a little girl named Penelope. The man I'm still trying to tap into. He doesn't like the fact that I can see him and hear him. So he tries to hide a lot from me. And I'm pretty sure he's the man I hear talking a lot. Let's see. We've also got the teddy bear with Scotty. And then we've got the prism that's got Lily. Lily is tickled pink over the fact that there's a little girl in the house that's close to her age, and she likes to go into Ellie's room and play with Ellie's stuff. Anybody who has actually like stayed in Ellie's room while Ellie was in Wisconsin for school can tell you they've got stories of the children that will go into that room to play with her stuff. What else? Yeah, that's I mean, we've got things from Wildwood. We've got things from we've got a rock from Mississippi State Penitentiary. I've got stuff from Hinsdale. I've got stuff from Wildwood. We've got shingles from Prospect Place Mansion that belonged to the barn where the the marshal that went to Prospect Place that was hung in the barn for trying to get the runaway slaves out of the house and trying to arrest the owner. Um, yeah, so I've got those from the barn there. We've got a bunch of stuff actually. Like, yeah, and then on top of it, the house that we live in is actually like on like a paranormal like highway. So if you go and walk outside of the house, and I've done this before, and I okay, it's not that it scared me, but it was unnerving. So if you walk out of our driveway and like say I were to face left, at the end of the road there's like a nature preserve. And the spirits at night hide, or they come out of the nature preserve. So we've actually had just random people walk in. There was, and she's still here actually, there's a female in Ellie's room that's actually quite possessive, but she likes Ellie a lot. Ellie reminds her of her grandchild, her granddaughter that she had, but she does not like my son Alex, because my son Alex is now living here with us too. Which is interesting because Nick has an Alex, so now we've got Alex, and then his daughter's Gabriella, and then I'm Gabrielle. So it's just real interesting.
We've got Susan Victoria from Paranormal Happy Hour.
Hey, Susan, how are you? And Alyssa.
Fadden's in the house from Eternal Paranormal.
So, yeah, like, so there's a lot, like, we could just investigate our home. I know that Nick's actually had to have the house cleared like 4 times, if not more. Yeah, there's we get a lot of interesting stuff.
I've actually had to have one cleared out of my house when I cleared it because something followed me home from an investigation, and I found out 3 days later. Because what happened was I was driving my big F-150 and I was going to my parents' house that lost the rear end in it. The whole truck locked up on me and just went to hell.
Oh,
3 days later, I lost my job.
Oh, wow.
So then I finally discovered what it was, and I had to summon a certain spirit to come and get rid of it, and he's buried across the street across the street from my house.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, there's some, like, I know there's some that don't like to play around, that aren't really nice, that are really nasty. Like the one that likes to the one that likes to follow Nick and I a lot, he actually, there's a long story with that one that's pretty deep, but he ended up following me, got attached, got rid of him. I had to have a holy fire Reiki session, and I knew something was wrong. I knew he was following me, and Nick and I went to Bel Air House with Bump in the Night Society for a Friendsgiving collab. And we were there 3 days, 2 nights, and went directly from Bel Air House over to Ohio State Reformatory for a collab with like 15 other people. It was a great night. Lauren Hellickson was there, who does the Crystal Pod. She's a really good friend of ours. Tim Shaw, Heather, who owns Paraniagara Western Block, Dale Quigley with his son Colby. There was just, Frank Roberts. There was a lot of absolutely amazing people at this collab. And Nick actually got attacked that night. It was pretty bad. I've never seen somebody get physically attacked the way I saw him. And it was like we were on the 3rd floor of the Western Block, walking down the walkway. and he's walking in front of me, and I'm watching him. Like, he stopped and he turns around and he starts walking back, and he about hit a knee. And I'm watching him, like, literally, like, you could see his shirt getting tugged on. Like, he had a backpack on, but I'm literally watching the front of the shirt move. I'm watching his pants move, and it's not from him walking. You know, like, you can see where like the fabric's getting pushed on, you know. So like, watching somebody you love like get attacked like that, and there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can't just like walk over and start throwing people off. I mean, you know, and I'm still new, not really knowing what to do. But it was at that point when he ended up attaching to me, and I had to go through Holy Fire Reiki, and that's some pretty intense stuff. I mean, I highly suggest, if you're able to get Holy Fire Reiki done, go get it done. Especially if you can do sound healing with like the crystal bowls and like the tuning forks, life changing.
We have taken several attachments out of former team members and some people that we've investigated for. We've even got one with the picture of me and the Reiki master doing work on one of our old teammates, and you can see the face on the wall when she's holding it back with a tuning fork.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was pretty intense. It was pretty cool. Everybody had an SLS. I had my SLS. The Reiki master had an SLS, but the person we were working on didn't have SLS at all. No stick figure at all until after we got this out of her. And
Wow.
we really it took it out of her. And like I said, I've got the picture. You look up on the wall and you can see the face right in the wall where she's holding it back with the tuning fork, and I'm doing my work to get rid of the other stuff out of it as well.
Oh yeah, wow.
I've been able to do that for several people, take away attachments and stuff like that. It's kind of one of the other gifts I have, which is really cool. I believe a lot with crystals and meditation, and that's what I teach my new members on the team that's been with me since January, to work with crystals and pick up the frequencies of it, and then start meditating. And because everything's based on a frequency. I mean, you can put your hands across a person and you can feel if their bone's been broke or not. I mean, it will tell you. So, I mean,
that's Nick's been real big on the whole frequency thing and pointing a lot of stuff out to me. So that is really cool that you actually do work based with frequency. Like, I would love to hear more about that. Like, if you've got stuff you can send to us on that, like, I know he would love to see that.
Yeah, I've got some pictures and stuff I can send you with that. But otherwise, to sit and actually work with you would probably be a little better when we have a chance.
No, that would be awesome.
Because then you would understand it. You'd understand it more. It's been an hour and a half, so I've got one thing I want to bring up.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring up one place we've both been at separate occasions on investigations, but we've also been there at the same time. Broadhead Manor.
Yes.
I've had an experience there, and I've heard you've seen what they call the crawler.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually seen, when I was down by the boiler room, when Bill was giving us a tour, a man walk up the steps to, the boiler room goes off to your left and goes down. You walk up the steps and it goes to the right. I seen a man go up those steps, go to the right, and the dog followed him. And I'm wondering what's going on. So I walk up the steps, turn to the left. The dog's sitting there, but there's nobody there. Bill said, I seen the janitor.
Oh, yeah.
So,
totally saw the janitor.
Yeah, I seen that, and I was like, wow. I've also been in that little closet off to the edge, the storage area, picked up some names, like the principal's names, some kids' names. Me and my teammate Leslie was in there, and we got some EVPs out of there, some voices. And I also felt the elementals when we were upstairs. I know what they are. I mean, I've got some markings from when I've had my Menaki rights that I can adapt to that. So I'd be interested to actually sit and do something elemental work with them.
Yeah, Broadhead is, like I said, it's Disney World.
Oh yeah.
And when you go to Broadhead, so I want to make sure I say this correctly. When you go to Broadhead, you want to make sure you're protected, because there is a specific spirit there that likes to, if he's able to mess with your emotions, he will. And there's other spirits there that like to do that as well. Now Nick and I investigated Broadhead 3 times within a month and a half space. So we went to go visit Bill. And Bill, a lot of people see, I call Bill Dad. He is very much like a father figure to me.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I've talked to him.
Oh yeah, I absolutely adore Bill. He's been there for me during some pretty rough times and has very much, been the dad that I've needed in a lot of situations. And so, yeah, he is the absolute best. And yeah, it's like you end up, Nick and I have this love-hate with Broadhead now because of the experiences that we've had. Does that mean that Broadhead's bad? No. But Nick and I, let's see, our first time we were there for 3 days, 2 nights. And our first night we were there, Nick really got affected. Being a medium, especially when we're live, like I said before, I'll call out, like I'm being touched on my right shoulder. There's somebody on my left. Like I'm trying to call stuff out so that way the people that aren't with us who are watching know. Like I've actually got somebody standing behind me playing with my hair right now. Sorry. So they, so I'll call it out. And Nick knows that I call stuff out a lot too, especially, with him not having the same giftings that I have. That way he knows what I'm experiencing. Because there's times where he'll ask, like, are you getting anything? What are you getting? If I'm really quiet. And so like we're actually in the 2nd floor gift shop area, and we're sitting at the round table, or not the round table, but the big table in the middle of the room. And I've got my back to the display case, and he sits at the chair, the end of the table closest to the elevator. And I'm sitting in the chair right next to him, basically with my back to the display case. And we've got our cameras like facing the couch that came from the funeral parlor. And I start talking about how I'm being touched. And like, he just turns and looks at me and he's like, do you ever go anywhere and not get touched? And I was just like, ooh, something's definitely messing with him right now. Like, and I knew it, and he caught it. He's real quick to catch. I think I've only seen him one time in what I can't even keep track of how long it feels like we've been together forever. I mean, come on, it's going on lifetime number 5 at this point. So like, what's the point of keeping track, right? But he's, he ends up coming up to me and he's like, I'm getting really annoyed right now, and I'm getting really mad at you. Like I'm getting super annoyed with you. I'm like, I know. Did I do something? And he's like, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I want you to know though. And Nick and I are real good at communicating and letting each other know like where our headspace is, what we're going through. And dude, you're still going to get your ass kicked tonight. Keep it up. He knows I love him. But so that's what makes us special. We like to joke about the fact, like the more we find out about our history with each other, it makes it fun, but anyways, getting back to Broadhead, the next night it's my turn. So my best friend Carrie shows up, and I'm like, we go downstairs, and I get mad. Like, I'm raging. Nick hadn't done anything, but I wanted to take my tripod and just crack him over the head with it. And I look at Bill, and Bill's standing there, and I go up to him, and like, I got tears welling up my eyes, and I'm like, Dad, I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. Like, because I've never been affected to that point with anger before. Like, just, I mean, I've been mad. I've had spirits affect me with anger, but I've never had it affect me to the point where I wanted to, like, hurt somebody that I love, you know? And it was really upsetting. Like, even when I think back on it now, like, it triggers.
I think what
Yeah.
helps me the most when I was in a Broadhead is the fact that I've had my Menaki rights. There are 9 rights that's given to you. And my mentor, the Reiki master, gave them to me when I was on the old team. But it helps you ground with everything around you, and you can actually take bad energy and redirect it. So that helps me a lot. So sometimes I don't feel that something's super bad until it's really bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Sorry, my look was not at you. My look, if you look at the comment, I did not hit you with the tripod. I'm gonna hit you with the tripod now, though.
But
It's
anyway,
right up here with me. Don't make me bring it downstairs.
but anyway,
Yeah,
I think that helps me the most because it keeps me well balanced, and I think that's a key to when you're going in there to stay balanced and realize what's there.
Yeah, and like, some people would say that it's, you know, oh, it's because there are 2 elementals. For people who don't know, there are 2 elementals there. And some people would say, oh, it's the elementals. No, the elementals don't bother me. Like, they make me have really bad vertigo. I feel like I'm in like
they'll start
like
that
a tilt. Like, I literally will have to lean on a wall. Like, it messes with me. Like, I don't feel like I'm gonna be sick. It's just like the room feels like it's spinning. Like, I literally watched Bill standing in the music room upright, and he just started doing this, and I went like, and had to lean against the wall.
As soon as I knew there was elementals there, I turned to my teammate and I put a mark on her arm, a protection mark on her arm, and that helped her through the whole time she was there. So that she knew it was there when it started, because she started like, okay, I'm getting this, and then I wrote that on her arm, and she was fine the rest of the time she was there. But we also up on, I think it was on the 2nd floor. If you go up the 2nd floor from the side, you come into the building.
Yeah.
And come up that way, the entrance coming from that side on the 2nd floor. There's a room off to your left. It's like a little storage area. It must have been like a break area or something. But anyhow, it was me, Leslie, my teammate, and Tiffany Conley from Eternal Paranormal. We were sitting there, and I actually felt energy, and she walked up, and she's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's right here." She put her hand there. She could actually feel the energy that I was feeling.
Yeah.
And then she actually felt it when it was starting to move my hand go to her. It was it was moving right toward her. And she's like, that was cool.
Oh yeah. Like, the stuff that's there it's intense. And like, when I started getting angry, I literally fought it for, I would say, close to 3, maybe 4 hours. And finally, I was like, I can't do this no more. I think I started getting, like, I started tearing up, like, even worse. And like, the anger at Nick subsided, but it was like I was still really short with him. I was still, like, even my best friend, like, I was being snippy with her. I was being short with Bill. It was very frustrating for me because I was like fighting myself and, you know, trying to mentally keep my feet, you know, underneath me, basically. And, you know, I ended up running outside, out the gym, and I went out into the side street that runs, you know, that goes over the railroad tracks. Right. And Carrie brought Palo Santo, and she had ground I can't remember the name of the rock that she had, but it was ground, and so I rubbed it on my hands to help with the grounding on my hands, and then I did Palo Santo and did some deep breathing, and I did say some prayers, and I went back in and I was completely fine. We went back the second time for Remotely Paranormal, and we got there late on Friday. Nick ended up falling asleep, and I had some really cool interaction by myself. I was FaceTiming with Carrie and woke up Saturday and I got hit real hard. And then Saturday night, as soon as we got done with Remotely Paranormal, Nick got hit. And like Bill witnessed it. Bill even told him the next time we were there, Bill was like, that wasn't you. Like, you were not you. I literally watched Nick's eyes change. I watched his face change. Like, he physically changed. And it was scary watching him. And I did pull him aside a couple times because I was like trying to like check on him, like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And I could tell, hey, Brooke. Oh, you missed me talking about Wildwood, girl. But like, I kept telling him I love him, because for one, saying I love you when you're with your partner, when you're with your significant other, whether it be your partner or your spouse, like it's grounding for yourself. For me, it's grounding. And being able to say I love you, because when you can see that something is of ill intent, trying to cause harm, especially when you watch somebody physically change, it's letting them know, like, hey, you don't have room here. Like, I'm speaking positive, I'm speaking love, I'm speaking light. Like, you have no room here. And I was trying to get him to say it back, and he was just getting so flustered with me. And I was like, he's not getting it. Like, I don't know if he even knows what's going on. And at one point he even looked at me and was like, I'm confused. I don't want to come back here. I don't like it. And we left on Sunday, and he was like, I'm done with Broadhead. And we talked it over, and next thing I know, we're going back to Broadhead, and we're there with our other best friends, Leah and Mike from L&M Paranormal. And like, the next time was really good. Oh, thank you. Love you, girl. Thank you. You did tell me. Thank you so much. But like, Broadhead is, you never know what you're going to get. And from what's really cool is, I found this out when we were there at Spirits in the Spring. The third time we were there, we had a really good investigation. We ended up having a really cool experience with the embalming table.
I actually laid on that embalming table.
Yeah, and so I've got what is that called? The perikinesis. I always get it wrong, where you can feel the energies, you can see the past when you touch it.
Yeah.
That's why you'll see me in the winter. I've got the cotton fingerless gloves, and for the summer, I found summer fingerless gloves. You'll see me wear these now. When I go to locations, I heard about that, Derek. Yeah, that's crazy. So I actually took my gloves off and I laid on the embalming table, and I was able to see so much. It was there's so much attached to that embalming table. It's insane.
Most definitely.
We had some pretty interesting experiences with that embalming table. I'll leave it at that.
It actually, when I laid on it, I was holding the cat balls out in my hand like this, and they were actually lighting up, and they had a REM pod down between my legs. It's just sitting on the table, and I was staying as still as I possibly could, and it was going off as well. And it felt like the whole time I was sitting there that somebody was holding my head, not wanting me to move, just laying there. It's like,
oh, wow.
They were checking me out. they were seeing why I was there.
I had
That was cool.
psychometry. That might be it. I always get it messed up. When within the first 5 minutes of laying, because we were doing Leah went first and then I went second. And within the first 5 minutes of me, and we were doing the Estes. What's cool though is that Leah's taught me how to do it. I call it the Rivers method, Estes Rivers, however you want to look at it, because she starts with Estes, but then it's like it opens her up. If you watched when I did Remotely Paranormal at Wildwood, you'll see how I did it when I was in the seance room. Doing Estes for me, actually, and you know, I give all credit to Leah teaching me this. It's another way for me to, like, I start off with hearing the voices, and then it's like I start seeing. It's like it goes beyond. It's like I almost stop hearing the SB7 or the S box, whatever I'm hooked up to, and I start hearing and seeing what's there.
Yeah,
and
you're focusing on what's beyond and inside to listen to that voice that's not coming from anybody outside, but coming from within. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. So so within the first 5 minutes, a lot of people don't know, I have a daughter that has passed, and my daughter is actually my main spirit guide, and she came through, and I've only heard her voice when I've done Holy Fire Reiki. I've never heard it through an S box, and I was just starting to do the transition, but I could still hear the S box going, and I heard Mom, and it was her voice plain as day. And like, it took me up. I was like, whoa. I actually sat up, and Leah ran over, and she's like, are you good? And I'm like, no, I'm good. But you know, we had really incredible, absolutely incredible experience. That night was actually the, how do I say this? The start of learning what one of my giftings is. And the next location that we actually got to go investigate, Leah and Mike came here to Fort Wayne to visit us. And it was fully revealed in that is what my calling is, as a psychic medium, is to I have the ability to project the light. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can cross people over, and I can do this, and I can do that, and da, da, da. So I feel like there's a lot of things a lot of people can do, but some people, like, that's their calling, if that makes sense. Like, that's really what they're gifted with.
I think
they don't need other things or other people to intervene or work with them. And one of them for me is actually working with spirits that are stuck, that are trapped, that are stuck to an item or trapped in a location, or that have been held back. In Broadhead, when we were there with Leah and Mike that Saturday night before we went investigating, we were at the Firebolt Pizza place up there on the corner of the main drag. That's just right up the street from Broadhead Manor. And I had a spirit come up to me, and she's telling me, you're the only one that can help us. And I'm like, I don't know what I can do. What are you talking about? And so, like, I started tuning her out, and I'm looking at Leah, and finally I'm like, Leah, are you getting anything? And she's like, yeah, there's this lady that, like, will not stop bugging. Like, she doesn't want to talk to me. She's very insistent that you start talking to her. And so, like, I start describing what the lady looks like. And she reminded me of, like, Anne of Green Gables. Like, the way she had, like, the poof with her hair with the bun, and, like, the high-necked, like, collar with the lace, and you know, very little, very skinny. She was a teacher, and she had me get up out of my seat, and she's she walks me over to the windows and she starts pointing out the different buildings in Broadhead, and she starts explaining to me. And what was really cool was the verbiage that this woman uses. She never once said Indians. She never once said Native Americans. She called them the nations. She told me that the nations had manifested the elements, the elementals, that they were beings that they had, created for worship. And they had literally manifested these beings into existence. And that due to the horrors that had happened to the nations in Broadhead and across different areas of the United States, and like I saw a map of the United States, like this is happening from east to west, the elementals are basically keeping, she said the white man, they're trapping them when they pass, and they're being held in what would be considered like some, like if you're Catholic, you would call it purgatory. And so they're being held back and they can't be out after night. They have to be in the buildings. And so she's pointing out the buildings, like these different buildings that the spirits have, they go to. And she starts telling me about how, she goes, you're going to Broadhead, and the reason Broadhead has such a varying degree of spiritual energy, the reason you need to know this, the reason there's such a variance at Broadhead is because we have to be in before it's dark. Like the way the elementals, they roam the town, they're roaming to make sure that we are not on the streets. We have to be in when it's dusk. We've got to be inside.
They're definitely protectors.
Yeah. And so it completely made sense, and it lines up with how the elementals, like, they roam. And Nick and I have since been in other locations where it's very similar with the spirits that are varying in different locations. And other spirits have told me it's the elementals that are holding us back, and you've got to help us. Like, they've come to me and telling me, you are the one that needs to cross us over. We've been waiting for, like, I've been told we've been waiting for you. So, like, I learned that at Broadhead, and I've had other mediums since come forward to me telling me that that is my gifting, and that is, one of my focal points of my mediumship. So, it's really interesting. What is she saying?
I'm able to manipulate energy from what I found out. Apparently released a spirit that's following me home after.
Oh, that is awesome, Amber. We're going to talk about that. Amber and her husband are actually coming up this weekend, and we're going to be collabing. Nick and I will be collabing this weekend with Philip and Amber from Illuminate. So we're really excited.
I can manipulate energy as well, and it's really cool on how you can use it for many things. I've also crossed over spirits as well. One of the things when I've had my monarchies and I was going through my dream stages, it would give me signs of several things that I could do. And I haven't even scratched the surface of some of the things that's listed because I've just been working on certain things. But yeah, monarchies are really cool to help you ground with a lot of things. So, well, it's almost 2 hours, Brie. Anything you'd like to shout out?
Well, let's see. Nick and I are getting ready to start working on a massive project here in the next month that we are extremely excited about. We're hoping that will be ready for dropping within 6 months to the next year. So hopefully by this time next year, it will be out. But yeah, we're really excited about that. We've got the collab this weekend with Philip and Amber, which we're so excited about. We're going to be, so you guys will be seeing us go live from an undisclosed haunted location here in Indiana.
Cool.
On Saturday. And then the following weekend, we will be doing a collab with a bunch of amazing people. You'll see a lot of people from Bump in the Night Society. Even Vince Colleen, the urban investigator, is going to be there. Lauren Hellickson, I believe, is going to be there. let's see, Barb Young, just a lot of amazing people. I think there's going to be a group of 12 of us. We're going to be tackling the West Virginia State Penitentiary in Moundsville. So that's going to be real exciting. You'll be seeing us do little investigations here and there. Right now, while we've got Ellie, we are doing a lot of focusing right now on just having family time. I know we're doing it completely opposite. A lot of people, they are going to be grinding, doing, all their investigating during the summer. But due to how custody works, because I will say this much, don't ever have kids or live in Wisconsin with kids. Like the custody there is very difficult. But, she goes to school in Wisconsin. So we are really enjoying having our family time right now, but we're still going to be doing little things here and there. And we're actually going to be at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. Nick's going to be one of the speakers. So that'll be our next event that you'll see us at. After that, we will be at ISSCon, followed by MadCon. And then, let's see, there's the Para-Unity. And, the Hope Paracon. There is Hope is going to be October 12th in Salamanca, New York. It's actually, Nick and I are co-hosting it with the owners of Wildwood, cool. Brooke and Zach Pretzel. So what There is Hope Paracon is for is we are raising money for suicide awareness and prevention. And we are going to be dropping, we're going to be dropping the first speaker this week. So every week from here out, a speaker will be dropped. And we are currently looking for vendors. So teams, if you're wanting to come to New York, come on out. We are looking for vendors at $65 for a table. We've got some special speakers that I'm still working with and on right now. We've got a lot of special things that we're doing. So, but right now we are definitely, we've got some really cool tricks up our sleeve for this Paracon. And, we want to make this one of the best and the biggest that there is, especially with how this one is focused on raising money for suicide awareness and prevention. Nick and I are actually going to be speakers at it. And I plan on telling a bit of my story. So I lost, in high school, my best friend committed suicide. And the way he did it was absolutely tragic. And but I went through a really dark time in my life. And so anything that I can do to help, that's always been my goal with what I do. The whole Be Like Brie is, trying to inspire, trying to raise positivity. It doesn't have to be the paranormal field that you are pursuing. Find your passion, go out there and pursue it, try to help, be a volunteer. If there's a location near you, see what you can do to help. See if you've got a trade or a skill that location is in need of, and see if you can do trades. Hey, I would love to come in here and help you. I'm a plumber. I'm an electrician. I can do flooring. I can do this. See what you can do. Be that positive role model and that positive light. And that's what we want to do with the There Is Hope, is we want to be that positive light for those in the community and let people know that they're not alone. It's very difficult when you're going through that dark time in your life and you're making the plans and you're writing the letters. So this Paracon has a really big special place in my heart. And we are looking for people. We are going to be doing some really cool raffles for investigations at Wildwood. And gonna have some pretty cool things. Lauren Hellickson is actually gonna have a crystal pod that she's gonna be making specific just for this. That's gonna be one of the items that's raffled off. So it's going to be a really special occasion. If you are interested in being a vendor, you can send me a message on Facebook or reach out to Brooke. And I can tell you that the spots they are $65, but all the money is going to a great cause. So, yeah, I know we've got so much that we're doing. Nick and I've got a lot of stuff, like I said, irons in the fire, with doing the team brick, Old World Paranormal Society, the Paranormal Trip and Brie. You'll actually see us back out at Wildwood either the end of August or September. Remotely Paranormal right now is on hiatus while I have my daughter, but we will be back at it in either the end of August or beginning of September, and the next location will be Ashmore Estates. So,
that's one of the
yeah,
things
Chris has actually taken a sabbatical because of all the legal action that's going on due to Monster Inside. I got to be careful with how I word this. But so Nick has stepped up to the helm, and so he's going to be my co-host. And I think that one's going to be a fun one. And there's a couple other more local locations that we're looking at getting added to the lineup for Remotely Paranormal, and having some fun twists with those.
Definitely sounds good. I will say this, if you definitely get down in my area or where I can get to you, I would love teaming up with you guys. And even in kind of one of those bad places, I'd like to see what, goes on. So
yeah, definitely. We could definitely try to do something like that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because one thing I do like to do is I like to team up with other people, learn new things. And like I said, I'm all with being family and the way we should be, and not being this bullying around stuff and trying to tell people this and that. My team plays with the other teams, and that's what I put out there.
Yeah,
and that's one thing I like to do. I also like helping other people, understand things. So, help them know what's going on around their house and etc. Because we've done some residentials before, and like I said, well, I'll be actually going back to Broadhead Manor here July 20th when they have the next big thing going on there. And I think September 27th, Eternal Paranormal, I think it's September 27th, Eternal Paranormal and our team will be teaming up. I think we're going to Broadhead as well.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and then I'll team up with Jamie Lynn Keller August 3rd. We're going to Keysburg to a Masonic temple. That ought to be really good too. So, but yeah, Alicia says we are family. Yes, we are. So, thank you, Brie. I really appreciate
you. You are more than welcome.
I appreciate
you for having me on.
It was a pleasure having you on. And like I said, looking forward to meeting you again or teaming up with you in the future. See what happens. And if you want to see more of Brie, follow those little words down here at the bottom of the screen. This is where you can find Brie at and her adventures. And like I said, it's part of being family. So next week on my show on Sunday, let's see, June 23rd, I will be having the paranormal witch, Miss Tracy Jones, on the show. So catch us this coming Sunday and talk with Tracy. So everybody have a good night. And like I said, Brie, thank you again for coming on the show. I appreciate it. It was great having you on. And I got a few more here. I'm going to flash here. Be like Brie.
Hashtag.
Follow, like, and subscribe. Yes, please. And anybody who shared, thank you. And like I said, we'll see you next Sunday when we have the paranormal witch, Miss Tracy Jones, our paranormal white
Bye,
witch.
everyone.
Hang out with me backstage, Brie.
I will.
Have a good day, guys. Night.
Have a good night. Bye, everyone.